Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Before I get started with this video, I wanted to remind you to remember the folks in prayer that's gone through all these storms in the last few days. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, they have really gotten hit pretty hard in a few other places. Please remember them in your prayers, and also the rescue workers. I mean, one of the fellow YouTubers, Bear Independent, and his Grindstone Ministries is down there doing a lot of work. So remember those workers in your prayers, and most especially the victims, because this is just an awful time of the year to be losing your home and business and all the damage that's been done down there. Wanted to talk about the election. I know some of you probably already tuning out like, oh my goodness, not another election video. I'm getting so sick and tired of this. And most of us at this point probably are. Even if you're very tuned in to what's going on, you're probably starting to wary and get tired of the election. And I don't blame you. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for or who's the good guy and bad guy, because the reality is most of them are all the bad guys. You have to, anymore, you have to hold your nose to vote if you still do vote. Like I've always said, what do you get when you vote for the lesser of two evils? You still get evil. So you do you, and whatever you feel is comfortable for you to do, then that's between you and the Father. But what I'm here to talk about is, should we be planning and should we be, getting ready over the next day or so, because there's not a lot of time left, or at least anticipating something happening. And I'm here to just be honest with you. I don't know. There's so much scuttle going around about what could happen or what might happen or what's being done, that it's too hard to know. And the truth is that this kind of stuff has happened quite a bit in the last, couple of years, where there's some event that could be happening, that could be coming up, that could be the martial law, civil war, lockdown, takeover into the world, into America as we know it. And then nothing ends up happening. And this may be another one of those times. But it's possible that it's not. It's possible that this is one of those times that all the rumors of National Guard troops and all the rumors of arrests and all this other kind of stuff, it could be real. We don't know, and we won't know until it happens. And I saw someone say, I'm not really worried about the election, I'm worried about after the election. And that's probably more accurate than anything, is what happens afterwards. I think from a political point of view, that I don't know that there's too much at this point, at least of any individuals, that could really save this nation. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just too much of a pessimist, but I try to consider myself as a realist more than a pessimist, because I used to be very optimistic about things, and maybe I'm just getting too old to be optimistic. The point is, folks, is that aside from all the other stuff going on, and there's a lot, this election probably does have some importance to it, at least in the sense that we could very well see a shift or change happening because of that. And whether that's good or bad, I can't tell you, but we need to be prepared for it. We should be prepared for everything. And the reality is as preppers, as homesteaders and self-sufficient people, we should just be in a state of preparedness all the time, so that when things like a tornado or a hurricane or a very radically changing election happen, that we really don't have to do too much for it, that we're just already ready. That's the goal that we should get to. That goal's going to look different for everyone, mostly because there's such difference in varieties of finances amongst all of you. Some of you consider an accomplishment buying a case or two extra of green beans, and others you've ruled it as accomplishment because you finally got your bunker put in. And everything's relative. So don't get down because you can only afford 2 cases of green beans and not the bunker. keep pushing forward and getting yourselves more prepared. And it's not just the physical preparedness, and that's important. The physical preparedness is important, not just your physical body, but the physical things that you have. That's very, very important, but it's not the only thing you need to be doing. We need to be mentally prepared for what we might see in the coming days and weeks. Again, it could be nothing. Nothing may happen, or at least nothing of really any significance may happen. But we don't know, and so that's why we should be prepared. We don't want to be caught off guard. We don't want the shock and awe to shock us. We want to be able to keep our minds and our wits about us, because that's the big deal. That's why I talk about the mental, the psychological preparedness, is because when something really bad does happen, if you're not mentally prepared, it can shock you to the point that you almost become stuck. You can't do anything. You can't react. You can't function. It's much like if you're walking down a street at night and some guys jump out in front of you with knives. And if you're shocked, if you're not prepared, you're going to stand there and freeze, and it's very possible they'll do whatever they want to with you. But if you're trained and you're ready for that, and as you're walking down, you're in this state of readiness, knowing that you're walking down an area that this could happen, and when they jump out in front of you, you're ready to immediately react. Your chances of survival are greatly increased. So it's the same way with all this stuff going on. We need to be ready for what may jump out in front of us. We need to have that level of mental readiness, so that we're not deer in the headlights because of not really thinking about that might happen. Like that's extreme. I can't believe that just happened. What do I do now? I'm stuck. We can't allow ourselves to be that way. And of course, the last one that I mention all the time is the spiritual preparedness, because I firmly do believe that we are involved in spiritual warfare. I was watching another live stream over the weekend, and of some good brother and sister that's part of our group, and then we were talking about the people in the live stream were talking about the physical preparedness versus the spiritual preparedness. And I jumped in. I said that all this stuff that's happening, in my opinion, the wars, the famines, the economy, all this stuff, it's really in the end, it's a physical manifestation of what's going on in the spiritual world. It is those times are upon us. We are seeing spiritual warfare really play out before our eyes through what we're seeing on the physical realm. We're seeing the complete degradation of families and moralities, and this war against men, this war against women, this war against children, this war against man and woman that God created. We're seeing all of this happen, along with possible rail strikes and diesel shortages and wars and World War III's possible, and possible nuclear attacks and shortages of this and shortages of that, and pandemics and bird flus and on and on and on and on. It just keeps building, and it's because that we are the very fabrics of what's I guess that we are as a people and as a world is starting to kind of be pulled apart. Is maybe one of the better ways I could explain it. And that's why we're seeing happen. We're seeing the results of that. So when we look to this election, I wouldn't be terrified of it. If you want to vote, you can go vote. If you choose not to vote, that's your business. And I wouldn't judge you either way. But certainly don't be terrified of it. Be ready for it. Get ready. If you're able to, if there's a few little holes in your preps and the things that you think you need, and you're able to do that over the next couple of days, well, certainly go do it. I mean, no one's going to hold you back from that. As far as what you should be doing, maybe I wouldn't be going off and doing too many things, especially if I lived in cities or states where it's probably going to be more of a close call. Here in Missouri, we're such a solid red state. I mean, most of these counties out here, they haven't voted a Democrat in a century. So there's very little chance of anything happening around here locally to me. But that's not the case with some of you. Some of you live in areas where it's going to be right on the edge, and you don't know, depending on what the outcome is. Will there be possible riots, protests, government involvement? We don't know. I mean, we've seen things like that happen with other types of protests, so it very well could happen this time too. And the way that the tensions are rising with all parties, you can't rule that stuff out. So for those of you that know you live in a place that you should probably be a little bit more wary, certainly be on guard more, and maybe not do a lot of traveling. Maybe stay home if you're able to. Keep your family home if you're able to for the first couple of days, just in case. I'm not saying don't go to work. I'm just saying, don't go do a lot of running around and stuff. Just try to stay in for the day or so after the election, because you just don't know. You should get a decent idea in the first few days of how this is going to play out, and then from there we'll go from there. But I know that there's a lot of tension and a lot of trepidation, just a lot of fear right now. And I just want to try to dispel those fears, because as believers and as prepared-minded people, we need to try to fight against the fears as much as possible, because it doesn't do us any good. There's no benefit for us, allowing fear to creep in and take over. Are there things to be worried about, to be a little nervous about? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean we should allow that fear to slip in and take over our minds. So folks, do the best you can to get yourselves prepared over the next couple of days, if you feel you need to. If you feel you live in an area that you need to. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If nothing else, send some prayers up, because this country needs it. The people need it. We all need it. And spending a few more moments in your Bible or on your knees in prayer is certainly never, ever, ever gonna hurt you. Other than that, just be ready, because that's what we're doing. That's the whole point of our lifestyle, is to be ready for what happens, and to not just cower down in fear, because regardless of the outcome, we will work through it, and we'll pull together, and we'll be ready for it, folks. Get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.